To answer the question in Fort Worth, well, I know that it was supposed to happen in Fort Worth, but I think by knowing Herbie very well, better than Argo, I knew his technique. His technique was, if he wasn't safe, don't do it. And don't get yourself killed doing the job. That was both of their whole life, is to live. And I don't think Herbie was the one that he would have got very upset if he saw a lot of police, or that wouldn't be able to be done in Fort Worth. I think they would have called it off real soon, and not even planned for it, because either one of them didn't want to die, and they was there to make a hit. And if they couldn't have done it, they wouldn't have done it there. They would have left and went on to a different position. And they might have had 3 to 4 different things set up to hit. It might have been on the interstate, or I'm not saying interstate, it was just a highway in between Fort Worth and Dallas. I think maybe they thought of that idea, and then they didn't see any way out, and I think they beat them just by a few minutes to Dallas. And I think it was set up real quick, because it was planned for Dallas too, if it was missed in Fort Worth. All your big-time hitman, your criminals, they don't put their life on the line. The first thing they think about in their mind, are they going to get away? Or, they don't want to get shot. They don't want to lay in the street dying. Both of them, Herbie and Echo, both, they had girlfriends. They had, Argo had a sister that he loved very well. He wasn't going to die in Fort Worth just to make a hit. And so I think that he had enough sense that he went on and set it up in Dallas. And that's what happened there at the plaza in Dallas. I think it was and I think the one that made the shot was Argo, because Herbie was not familiar with rifles. He was familiar with handguns, and when he made his hits, Herbie always made his with a 22 pistol, a 22 long, for the simple reason it was most deadliest bullet there was for assassination. And Argo was a rifleman, because he spoke of it different times. Matter of fact, Argo was the one on the boat that made the shot, the Batavia boat. He's the one that shot the man at the stern and killed him with a rifle. And that's why I'm saying Argo was a rifleman. And I think they saw that it was too risky, too dangerous, and they just moved on. They probably had 3 to 4 different spots set up. Even after his speech, they not even had it set up. Who knows? Nobody knows. If I knew that, I could, we could answer this thing real quick. But I know that they at least had 2 to 3 different positions to hit with, because these was professional. Now, going back to that room in New York that day, Miller and Eckert and the 2 other men that I thought looked like 2 people that I knew, or I didn't know, but I saw the photographs. They said very plainly that we will try to do the job in Fort Worth, and that you need to get out of Fort Worth and hit the highway south. This is the last thing they said. And they said it would happen in Fort Worth, but if not, they would have other places to be hit, and he would be hit at the end of Dallas. And that's all I know about it. They had Dallas as a second or third choice of hits. And now, it was very plainly in that room that night, and I just didn't put it together, but it was more of a hit than just a rich man or who knows what they were trying to make me believe. They didn't really try to make me believe it. They just said it wasn't none of my concern. It was somebody that just owed this money. And they said it wasn't no concern of mine. Only concern I had was to pick up the two men and take them south and get ready to dispose of the bodies. And that was all said. You know. Now, why did I know so much? I knew Herbie very, very well. He was like a close friend. As I told back in the archives, I said that, you know, we first met in Fort Smith, Arkansas. And now, let me tell you something about Herbie. I think that people could look at his background and find a lot about him. Well, we would go to Chicago. Argo was there. It was a buddy of his. But I never saw Argo that many times. Only thing I remember that Argo and Herbie and I went to Calumet City together, and that was about the only time that I knew Argo except in Cuba. Okay. Now, Herbie and I, we was, as Dean Martin, he was kind of like crazy, and his Jack when he was just getting started. And down Milwaukee Boulevard, he used to climb on back of pull the wires down off of the car, make them stop. And so Herbie and I was watching that, and it was a bank right close to that. And I think it was more of a check cashing place than the bank. And Herbie and I was going to hit that. Okay. Now, when we watched the car get, you know, everybody watching, putting the car back up and getting the online to get going again, Herbie and I was going to hit that job real quick because he did it every day at the same spot. I don't know why he would do that. It was just a mental thing, I guess. And we was going to hit this bank on the confusion, and then we decided, anyway, that day he didn't come to the trolley car, and so we put it off. Because Herbie said, it's no use to getting yourself killed over a few $1,000s. He says, we got time. And he says, there'll be others. Now, it's a point that I want to make with Herbie. I never made it because at one time he was a great friend of mine. Now, as maybe I have mentioned this in the archives, I don't know if I did or not, but Tommy Darcy and Jimmy Darcy, they would play at Edgewater Beach Hotel in Chicago. And Herbie and I would, you know, go out there on the beach and lay and listen to them. And Herbie was the second trumpet. He played second trumpet at one time before he got on narcotics to Harry James. Now that's how famous this man was. Now think of this. Second trumpet to Harry James. He was one of the best trumpet players I've ever heard in my life, but he couldn't play in no more bands because his arms, he was shot up every day, whatever. At that time, it wasn't like it is now. When they went in there, they went on hard stuff. And he got addicted, and his addiction made him do everything, made him be one of the biggest criminals that I ever knew and I ever heard of, is those two boys. The police had no trace of anything they did that I could ever remember. I never heard Herbie ever tell me, boy, we about got caught on that one, or this and that. Everything they did, they had security before they walked in. And that's why I say Fort Worth that day, it wasn't the security they wanted, and they walked away from it. And that's what I say about that.